What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the canceled Spider-Man live service game. The trailer leaked in the morning, okay? Now, what I'm trying to say, what we're going to not do is show the trailer. I think that'd be a very, very bad idea. It's absolutely out there, and if you want to see it, I think you absolutely can find it, and you can absolutely watch it. I don't want to put the channel at risk, and I would absolutely say with certainty, if a YouTube channel or whatever, you put it publicly on Twitter, you're going to get something done to your channel, from whether it's Insomniac or Sony or whatever. So we're not going to show it, but I'm going to maybe assume that you've watched it as we kind of talk about it, right? Now, a few things to say, I know there's been a lot of disappointment. There's been a lot of talk of man, oh man, this is the game that you canceled. Now, I'll look at it in a couple of different ways. One way I definitely want to say first is this looked super close to being done. I mean, you watch that trailer and yeah, there's been trailers out before, and you could look at many trailers for games and say, oh, that game must be around the corner, and it's 3 years out. But the thing is, I guess the way this trailer was, right? It was a little mix of kind of comics, right, sketches, and then also actual gameplay. The game, I don't know, I just watching the trailer, it looks like if you showed me that trailer and you said the game is out right now, I'd believe you, because it kind of matches it. So my main displeasure, I guess, with it is just how close it was. You imagine the work and the people that put the work in, and then to have it not come out. And as opposed to The Last of Us, Last of Us multiplayer, I don't know. Last of Us multiplayer was probably a good year or two out when they canceled it, right? This, I would not have been shocked if this game was coming out within the next, 3 to 5 months from right now. So sometime in 2024, right? And then they cancel it. Now, they canceled it a little while ago. It's just we kind of heard about it after, and, we see the trailer after. So, it's not perfect. The timelines aren't perfect here, but that's a big disappointment. Okay, so I want to talk about the quality and literally, I guess, the game itself, right? Was this a big mistake? All right, we've asked, and I think a lot of people have asked, to play cooperatively or play, a multiplayer type thing. So I think they, leave a market there or lose a market there. I'll say, man, I'm trying to watch my wording because I don't want to be taken, out of context or taken wrongly here, but it literally looks like Spider-Man 2 co-op. So my thing is, would it have worked? Yes, I think it would have worked. Would it have worked long term as a live service game? That I would question highly. Now, there's been some reports of what the game actually was, and I believe Insider Gaming, right, Tom Henderson's website. And one of the things that stood out to me is kind of the customization and that longevity, right, that you're going to be able to kind of personalize your character, and that's where things would really start to separate themselves. Because if you watch the trailer, it leaked, if you watch it, there is a lot of similarities between everybody, right? I don't know if everybody stands out perfectly. Now, again, we only saw very, very little of it. It's very possible that everybody felt unique, and that would keep the game going. Because I guess where I'm going with this, if you tomorrow put co-op in Spider-Man 2, I think you'd have maybe 50 to 60% of what this live service game is. Now, that's not a massive diss because, again, I honestly think that would work. But I also now think of Naughty Dog remember what they said, and I do believe this. I absolutely believe this part. They had a pretty honest forum or, whatever that you could read online, and they talked about that if they were to do it, go for The Last of Us multiplayer, the entire team, the resources that it would take and the length of time that it would take, you'd have to do that continuously, and the studio would be changed forever. I would not be surprised if Insomniac was the exact same way. If they looked at this and said, look, is it all that different from Spider-Man 2, and then you put co-op in it? No, it really isn't. Also, if we do this and we really make it different, and we really because here's the thing, what is different or what could be different about this live service game, right? More Spider people, right? That's one, and I guess the ability or the idea that you could add more over time. And although you'd be facing off against the Sinister Six, you'd be able to maybe do different versions or just more villains in general, right? So literally, the live service element to it is what would make it unique, right? The constant support of new characters, which would feel different from each other, and then new villains and new maybe enemy types that you would fight. Okay, cool. Is it massively different than what we got in Spider-Man 2 plus co-op? Not really. And again, if you want to make it that, you would most likely have to come to the same conclusion that Naughty Dog did, where if you did this, this would kind of be it. Now, like, yeah, you'd be able to maybe make one other game, but maybe not. You don't actually know. So am I all that mad that this game didn't happen? To be honest with you, no, I'm not. It again, like the biggest thing that stands out to me is how close it seemed like it was. You know what I mean? That's what maybe ticks me off the most, where it's like, man, you might as well have maybe just done it. And even if it only lasted, like 6 to 8 months, at least we would have been able to do it. Plus, I mean, there's something like alluring, right, about like, hey, this was the game that you'd be able to play, with your friend. You know what I mean? Like there's something that grabs you about that, where it's like, okay, we'll just release it tomorrow. Let us play it for a few months, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the reality is, there's more to it. I mean, we all know that, right? There's more to it than that. So I don't know, like, this is part of Sony's push, which was anti what their push was a little while ago. They wanted to go all in on live service. Now they are going all out. They are canceling. Like, this game, add it to the list. I think they've canceled 5 live service games that we know of. They've canceled 5 in the last, 6 to 12 months. And how many have released? 1, Helldivers 2, right? That's kind of under the Sony umbrella. Obviously, they don't own, the studio and whatnot. But 1 game comes out and 5 get canceled. So, it's the thing. I think I said this before, even like Twisted Metal or even The Last of Us. If this is the consequences that we have to face as consumers for Sony realizing that you can't go all in, then I will accept it. And at the same time, right, I'm not trying to completely diss the other side. I get what this is. I get that people are upset and that people would have, I think, legitimately enjoyed it. The thing that I would counter with, though, is, does it have the making of a game that can last 2 to 4 years? And the answer to that is probably no. And again, if it is yes, then it would require Insomniac to maybe not do the Venom game or, all the future. We won't go into too many spoilers, but, you look at their next, say, 10 or so years and the Marvel franchises, of course, that they're doing. Cancel maybe 2 of them because they're doing this game. And I think it's that cut and dry. Naughty Dog said it, and I mean, we just know it in general, right? Like, to make live service games go, you need people constantly working on it, which means they can't do other things. And if you want the game to last 2, 3, 4 years, those people have to be working on it for 2, 3, 4 years. So it's not rocket science, right, to kind of figure it out. So I get the disappointment. At the same time, I honestly, I would get why Sony canceled it. And to be honest, maybe the most hot take that I would have of the entire thing, if you added co-op to Spider-Man, like co-op is in, well, obviously what co-op would mean, right? You can play it online with a friend, even just one. Even just playing online with one other person, if you added that to Spider-Man 2 tomorrow and you just had people free roam, you could maybe, I don't know if maybe you would replay missions, but let's just say you could free roam, you could stop crimes, things like that. You would probably get a good 20, 30, 40% of what this live service game is just by doing that. So could you kind of fold that idea into maybe a Spider-Man 3, right? You have Silk and you have Miles and you have Peter. Could you make a Spider-Man 3 that kind of infuses that idea? It's not full live service. It's basically single player, but single player, you could also do co-op. Maybe even like a Gotham Knights, right? Or maybe Suicide Squad. No, I'm not saying like the live service elements of those games, and Gotham Knights really didn't have it, but I'm talking about the cooperative elements, right? So Gotham Knights, you could play it by yourself or you could play it with another. Well, what about this, right? What about Spider-Man 3? Maybe you always have all 3 of them with you. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's just you, but you could bring in online another one, and that would, change things up a little bit. I think you could fold that idea into Spider-Man 3. You just have to wait. You're going to have to wait like 4.5 years for it versus it coming out this year, I'd imagine, for this live service game. So I get it. I get the disappointment. I absolutely do. And I'd say I'm disappointed too. Like, I think, again, it would have worked for a short period of time. I don't know if it would have lasted forever, but this is definitely one where you say, man, this probably would have made them a good amount of money with how big Spider-Man is and just how successful everything is, right? Like, I think it makes sense why you would have tried it. But again, I would understand almost any reason they would give why they pulled this, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.